the PC. Here we go. Yes. There we go. We're recording. Fabulous. Hi. Welcome everyone to this edition of the birthday specials in our In Conversation With series. This session, we are joined by Dennis from Psychreg. For those of you that don't know, Psychreg was in this quarter, the second quarter of 2020, was awarded a Wellbeing Excellence in the Workplace Award as part of the APA's Ethical and Psychological Awards. Dennis, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thanks for inviting me here.
It's great to have you here. Siobhan and I have known you for a while now. We've worked on a couple of things together over that time. But for those of the audience that haven't had a chance to get to know you yet, why don't you introduce yourself and give a little bit of background to Psychreg and what you do?
I always want to be introduced as the founder of Psychreg because that's the fruit of my labor. So I always want to be identified as, someone who created this psychology website called Psychreg. So basically I launched the website in 2014. And since then it has evolved. I've been publishing articles on a range of topics in psychology, mental health and well-being. And similar to what you're doing, I'm also on YouTube where I talk to interesting people within the field. And another aspect of what I do is I also organize a range of mental health events in different countries. Now, before that, I was already a blogger, but I was managing a travel blog because when I was in my early 20s, I was a travel blogger. I was a solo traveler in Southeast Asia, so I've been to Vietnam, Thailand, and I kind of chronicle my life experiences, my travel experiences. And then when I came into this country, I did psychology at university, so I kind of merged my interest in psychology and blogging, and so that's how Psychreg came about. Yeah.
Cool. So what would you say your biggest passion at the moment is within the psychology field?
My greatest passion would be resilience. Resilience is, ability to bounce back. And I'm actually about to start my PhD this September, and I'm doing a research project exploring the efficacy of blogging as an intervention to promote resilience. And I'm doing this to offer an alternative intervention for adolescents. So basically, what I'm trying to do is ask them to manage a mental health blog and see if can actually boost resilience among adolescents. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I think resilience is one of the greatest human ability that we can actually tap into, especially in times of crisis, such as the pandemic or even political crisis. I think if we have resilience, we would be able to manage mental health and well-being more positively.
And I'm taking this opportunity with you based on resilience, Dennis. We were invited to Borneo by yourselves to Sabah University and present last year, which was a phenomenal, life-changing opportunity really for us, especially because we got the opportunity to explore Borneo into the bargain. And you invited us in relation to me giving a talk on my resilience through colon cancer in 2018. So actually, if you want any help with that, I can give you anything from that particular experience. If you want it or need it, I can certainly share with you, because I think resilience is very much attached to self-awareness and mindset. And our ability to get through things through the form of self-awareness. And it's honestly resilience that got me through 2018. So it was a great privilege to be able to share that at one of your conventions, which was beautifully organised, really well done. Credit where credit's due, Dennis.
Yeah, extremely
and
well
it's
done.
a fantastic opportunity for us too. So maybe a private chat about anything that I can help you with on that one, maybe a bit later on.
Sure.
take part of this interview. This interview is about you, and it needs to stay on focusing on you. I just thought I'd drop that in for you.
So as resilience kind of becomes your, or I don't think it's become your point of interest. I think it's been there for a while. What would you say that the therapeutic world and the therapeutic professionals can gain most from by understanding more around the power of resilience?
Yeah, as what Siobhan, she shared her experience. She's have a lived experience in surviving of cancer, and I think that's the power of resilience. You know, we may have like disability, or we may have a life-limiting condition, but if you've got resilience, it allows you to put things into perspective. And there's actually a personal reason why I'm so passionate about resilience, because if I may just share. I grew up in the slum in the Philippines, and I really have a challenging childhood. We did not have running water growing up, and I'm not saying this as a sub story for Emma, but the reason why I'm saying that is that I'm quite, actually, I keep on talking to my husband that I have, when I told him about my childhood experience growing up in the slum in a third world country, I told him I'm actually quite privileged to be born in such a situation, because that life experience, that childhood experience prepared me for future life events. I'm not really someone who's physically strong, but I would say I'm emotionally strong. And I think I owe that from my parents, because my parents and also that life situations, it shaped me into the person that I am. It shaped my worldview. And that's the kind of message that I want to convey to people when I talk about resilience, you know, that there are things which are beyond our control, whether, you know, in terms of health, whether in terms of employment and so on. But the way we see things and the way we see that we can actually bounce back, it puts things into perspective. And I think as psychotherapists, as psychologists, as a counselor, it's important for us to highlight the importance of this, you know, that you have the ability to, you know, to improve your path. And I think that's an important message to you know, to convey, not just to our clients that we regularly see, but more importantly to adolescents.
Yeah.
Do you think, picking up on that, Dennis, because I thought to myself, when you're talking about no running water, and then you live in a country where there's water coming from taps every single day, do you think there's a gratitude and appreciation that increases the ability to be resilient when you know, for example, not being able to obtain running water as a child, but actually being in a position now where it's almost like an accepted form of our culture that we automatically do have water? And I wondered whether or not, just as you were talking, I was thinking, I wonder if there's a gratitude attachment to the recognition of not having to having, and that increases your ability to be resilient with those attributes and that recognition in place. And I just wonder what you think of that based on what you said.
Yeah, that's a great point about gratitude. Since I came into this country, I become more grateful of the things that I enjoy into this country. And I always see coming into this country as a privilege. But when I was before coming into this country, I was already sort of like my life was already different in terms of employment, because I was a university lecturer before coming here, and I had a different career when I came here, because I struggled to find an academic job. But like what you've said, I'm always grateful for the things that I have in this country, because I always remind myself, like, you don't have running water, you don't even have a toilet when you were growing up, and you live in the most, you know, impoverished situations. So you have to be grateful, and you have to seize the opportunity as they are presented. And that's the kind of mindset that I always have, a mindset of being gratitude, a mindset of, you know, seizing the opportunity, because I always remind myself that, you know, not everyone gets the same opportunity as you. So if you don't take that opportunity, it's a waste. It's a waste of opportunity, and it's also an insult to those people who are not given that opportunity. And yeah, I always try to balance that, what you mentioned about resilience and about gratitude. I always try to keep a balance of those things because I think that they're really important, to be part of our core as humans.
Yeah.
I can really identify with that, considering my history was as an immigrant coming to this country at the age of 11.
Mm-hmm.
And where I identify with the gratitude is I was moved around consistently as an army child. But when we actually got to England, despite lots of things that were going on at the time with Irish people and how they could be treated, the fact is, for the first time, I was settled in one place.
Mm-hmm.
Gratitude just for the ability to not be moving all the time, that in itself gave me a cemented foundation to be able to feel the appreciation and the opportunities in this country. And so I can identify from a completely different place, but in exactly the same results. If that makes sense.
It's almost that emotional connection with somewhere based on all of the things that were there before. You mentioned that early on you'd been a travel blogger. Psychreg does an awful lot of work around the medium of blogging, and it's something that I know you've helped me with, and I know you've helped many others. But what would you say are some of the key tips for people that are wanting to explore the medium of blogging?
Yeah, that's a good question. When you want to explore or when you want to launch your own blog, it doesn't matter whether it's mental health or any other genre, whether you want to set up a lifestyle blog or a beauty blog, it's important that you're really passionate about the content, because blogging can be quite repetitive. And so, because you just publish articles on pretty much the same themes every day. So if you really want to take it seriously, you have to be passionate about it. You have to have a personal motivation, and you have to invest on your blog a lot of time, a lot of hard work. Because if you don't, in 1 year or 2 years time, you'll just close your blog. So you really have to ask yourself, is this really something that I want to do for a long term?
Okay, so as someone who is in the therapeutic arena, invariably they are extremely passionate about supporting other people. Invariably they have a point of focus in how they do that, and the modality, the discipline they use, whatever that kind of starting point is. But writing a blog isn't just about taking something in your mind and putting it on paper, is it? There's a lot more. The art of a good blog is something that I think yourself and the team and the contributors that you have at Psychreg have really got down really, really well. And what would you say is the key to that? What's the difference between just mind dumping, for want of a better phrase, onto a page and actually creating a really useful and insightful blog?
I think what you're kind of alluding to is what makes a blog successful. And for your blog to be successful, it has to connect, it has to resonate with your readers. Let's say, for instance, you're a psychotherapist, think of it as from the point of view of readers, what they're actually trying to read. And also, what I always tell to people if they're starting to write a blog is, can you really commit to it? Because if you cannot commit to it, there are websites such as Psychreg where you can actually contribute. So just send a one-off article or send it each time that you have an article. That way, it saves you money from running your own website. And that's actually the beauty of it, because when you're actually contributing instead of running your own blog, you reach a wider audience, and you just leave the technical aspect of running a blog to someone else with more experience. And That's the kind of, framework that I have on Psychreg. I'm not discouraging people from launching their own blog. By all means have that. But what I'm saying is, if you're a psychotherapist, I would appreciate that, you have your own priorities. Maybe blogging is not your priority. Your priority would be giving counseling and, having a more face-to-face relationship with your client. But of course, also as a psychotherapist, in essence, you're also a thought leader. You also want to share your experience, and you also want to share your insights in order for you to shape the thoughts within the community. And an effective way, of course, to do that would be through blogging. But then again, it might be, taking up much of your time. So instead of, setting up your own website, which isn't free anyway, and is also time consuming, just, leave it to me, and I'll help you. I'll help publicize your work, which deserves an audience. And I think, there are so many websites that you could contribute, but I'm not trying to just kind of.
Yeah, there are other providers available. This is not an advert just for Psychreg.
This is not just an advert. But I already have a good readership on a good month, and you can check it online. I have about 100,000 readers. And as a counselor, as a psychotherapist, I think you would like to connect with 100,000 monthly readers.
Yeah, and I think what Psychreg has done extremely well, and again, there are other providers available. Okay, we're not one way, shape, or form kind of don't go anywhere else. But the due diligence, if you're getting started in this and you want to share thoughts, and you want to share experience, you want to share knowledge, the idea of a blog, as you say, it can fill the time that isn't a priority. So contributing articles where you can share that knowledge, that experience, and so forth, is a great way of learning and developing your own audience. But
I'd like to come in, because I think the reason that I think Dennis is so successful is his self-awareness. So it's not just blogs. His self-awareness comes through in all his articles. And for any therapist, psychotherapist, counsellor, we know they overlap. Having that level of self-awareness to present it in writing in such a positive fashion is, I think, what actually makes you very, very successful at what you do. And on top of that, you're incredibly efficient. I know that we've sent you over articles, and literally I've been amazed that within 8 hours, you suddenly see it presented. I'm not saying you work at that level every single day, Dennis, but I've certainly seen you do really, really quick, recreate things, and there's certain things that I don't know how to do, and you do them absolutely beautifully. But I'm absolutely convinced that Dennis's self-awareness shines through all his writing, and I think that's what really adds to your success. And I just want to highlight that, because obviously my thing is self-awareness.
Yeah.
Would you say self-awareness across the board, when someone is writing an article, whether they're writing a blog, if they're able to transfer their own self-awareness in their writing, that allows a greater ease of connection for the reader?
Yeah, I would say so. Especially, I think most of the readers want to look for an article that they can actually relate to. And because blogging is all about creating conversations, regardless of, the niche, whether it's mental health or psychology. Readers just want to look for something that they could relate to. So let's say you're a psychotherapist. Readers would love to find out, like, how is it to see a therapist? And the thing about blogging is that the style of writing is conversational. They don't read blogs because they want something too academic. Otherwise, they would be heading for academic journals. And that's the thing about blogging. It's conversational, it's democratic, anyone can launch it. And like what I've said, there are certain, in relation to self-awareness, there are certain topics that I'm not really familiar about. So I stay away from that topics, and instead, invite people such as yourself who are, at the forefront of psychotherapy and counseling to write it for me. And that way, I'm offering something of relevance to my readers. And at the same time, I'm also giving you a platform to reach to, potential clients.
Yeah.
I think that's the bit that also makes you really successful, Dennis, because you give and take. It's not a one-way street. It's helping each other.
Yeah.
And it almost takes the ethos out of the therapy room when you're working as a team with a client. It's two people. You follow that ethos because we send you it, you advertise it. And the endorsement that we can give you back on the back of that just works absolutely beautifully. And it's that collaboration, isn't it? So it almost starts from blogging as a collaboration with yourself and your understanding of yourself, put onto paper, and then expanded to the outside world. And credit where credit's due, you do it absolutely beautifully.
Thank you. And actually, that's what I do. I try to collaborate with different organizations such as APA. I actually publish press releases, news releases, company updates from different charities. I work with an autism charity. I work with a hospice. So if there's something, that they would like to publicize, I publish it. And I don't charge anything because, of course, it's not a secret that content creators, YouTubers and bloggers such as myself, we earn from ads. So we already earn from it anyway. So we don't charge. I don't charge anyone, to publish in Psychreg.
And I think that's something that, again, a lot of people don't understand the way the blogging industry is set up, and can put people off because they're not sure about, how do I earn from this? How do I can I earn? All of these questions that I know you and I have had conversations over, but not many people will have that information to hand. So being able to write in a way that is conversational, to be able to connect with the audience that you're wanting to connect with, are kind of two of the top tips that you gave us right at the very beginning when we were looking at how do we promote what we're doing across the board. But we already had content, we already had kind of a message set. What would your advice be to someone that is literally kind of the stages before that, where they're still working, they may have just launched, may have just qualified, and it's like, right, okay, now I want to kind of develop my audience and get to that connection. What would your advice be there?
My advice would be to be consistent, because a blog will not survive if you're not consistent. So whether you want to blog on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis, you have to be consistent about it. So if you think you cannot devote a consistent time, you might as well look for other avenues to share your content. To take, for instance, as a professional blogger myself, because this is my only source of income. So I publish about 7 to 10 articles in a day, because it's all about consistency. And as a YouTuber, I try to publish at least one interview, because that's what I do on YouTube, one interview a week. It's all about consistency. So if you think that you cannot really, devote time, like I've said, you have to consider your other options. And another thing is that blog or vlog, it's a digital medium. So you have to consider what's actually pleasing to the eye. So you have to choose the right font, you have to choose the right images. And also when you choose the right images, you have to be very careful, because sometimes there are copyrighted images and you could get into trouble with that. I've learned that the hard way. I'm not going to lie. And also you have to be very careful also when you're accepting guest posts. Guest posts is, when you're publishing someone else's article, that it's not plagiarized, because that will also get you into trouble. Again, I learned that the hard way, but that's something that you learn along the way as a blogger. It comes with experience. And also there are technical aspects to blogging. You know, it's not really incidental that when someone Googles certain phrases that it will appear on the first page of Google. There's a science behind that. And as an experienced blogger, that was something that will come naturally to you. So that's why sometimes people ask me that, hey, why did you change my title? And I said, I have a reason to do that. It will be for both of our benefits that your article come on the first page of Google, because I'm sure you want that. And as someone who's managing a website, I also want that for my website, because that's how I earn money. Yeah, those things you have to consider that blogging. If you want to launch a blog and you want to learn those technical aspects, YouTube is a wonderful resource. You can learn a lot from YouTubers. They will give you good tips on how to run a successful blog.
Or contact Dennis from Psychreg, because the amount of information that you're giving out is absolutely phenomenal. It isn't my forte. But I actually want to say, I think the other thing that you do, Dennis, and I'm really aware of this, is you create relationships with the people that you work with. And it's a bit like that therapeutic process of building up trust in somebody. And that trust works both ways, and it just results in a beautiful collaboration. So I'm going to add in that you're very relationship based too. So I know if I needed to do a blog and it's not my thing, you're the first port of call that I would go to. I'm happy to do that when we've done it.
And this is the thing that I think everybody kind of watching really kind of almost kind of a step of mindfulness, if you like. When we take on board the role of an editor, and we seek the services of someone that takes that role, we almost have to put faith in their knowledge and their understanding of what a potential reader or viewer is going to be receiving. And as much as it might not sit comfortably with the author or the producer of that material, the faith in the editor is something that makes all the difference. And I think sometimes as professionals, it can be hard to relinquish, as you say, have you changed the title? I put everything into this, you've changed the title. But it's that faith, and I think, as Vonnie says, the way you work at building relationships makes that happen.
It's a very person-centered approach, in my opinion. There's a lot of unconditional feelings that I get from you and always have done. So it's almost like you create an automatic trust, or you certainly did for me, Dennis. I didn't have an issue at going, here's my stuff, do what you do, because it's not my thing. So I think having that person-centered approach and accepting people for who they are is one of your greatest attributes, if I'm really honest with you, Dennis. I think a combination of good at what you do, PC approach, getting to know people, creating trust, being a giver as a taker, and working collaboratively with somebody. Even I get my tongue twisted at times. It works successfully for you, which is why you can actually earn out of this and create an income. I think what you're saying is almost don't set yourself up for a fall. If you don't know what you're doing, research, find somebody that does, make it work for you in the way that you want. And that takes help at times, a lot of the times. So actually, I would always recommend Dennis for this. Brilliant.
I know you're going to be joining us on the live on the 4th, and going to actually be one of the guest speakers there. And that's not going to be about blogging or Psychreg. It's going to be something completely different. And we'll keep, the surprise as to what the conversation is until the birthday event. But I want to say a personal thank you
Thank you.
from myself for the work that you've done with me and kind of my writing, and as someone that's been published and is, as you know, extremely at times dyslexic. It has been a phenomenal learning journey for me, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
I want to wrap things up for the In Conversation With, but I want to really kind of leave the last kind of chunk, if you like, to yourself. And
before you do that, I just want to say we thank you.
Thank you.
We thank you for the effort.
Yes, APA truly appreciates the work you've done on a bigger scale.
This has been a learning curve.
I was talking about the one-to-one stuff that I've had with Dennis and helping me. But on a bigger scale, yes, a massive thank you. But leaving the last chunk to you before we wrap up, what would you like to say to people watching this that may be interested in writing articles, in producing a blog, and moving their own presentation forward?
Fundamentally, what I would like to say is that blogging is a good way to create conversation, also to proposition yourself as an expert. It's an effective tool, but unfortunately, and I would imagine a lot of people listening to this, psychotherapists and counselors, I'm not discouraging you to create your own blog. By all means, do that. But if you want to focus more on something which is more relevant, which is more important to your work, Psychreg is just here waiting for your articles. You can publish it to me, and I can assure you, you could reach a wider audience by publishing your articles to my website. But by all means, of course, you can run your own website. And I think ultimately what we want to achieve, whether as a blogger, as a psychotherapist, or as a counselor, is we want to, capture the essence of behavior, capture the essence of, humanity. And we try to achieve this, by doing it through things where we're good at, such as yourself. I can't do that. I can't be a good counselor because I'm quite straightforward, and I don't think it will be good for the patient counselor relationship. But blogging is something that I'm good at, and I'm happy to do my part, trying to spread awareness about mental health and well-being through my own chosen medium.
Okay, you might consider Gestalt therapy for directness if you ever choose to. Probably a very good one at that, Dennis. It's a lovely way to wrap this up. Absolutely. And it's a lovely way to end this, and we so appreciate your time. So thank you so much from both of us, APA, and us individually, because I know we both help each other out. We all do. So good work to you. And David?
So if you've enjoyed the video, if you've gained from the video, and you think this is going to help your professional practice, you can get a CPD certificate based on your verification of this video. Just go to the APA website, download the CPD questionnaire, get that in, get that certificate. Dennis, thank you so much for your time. I'm really looking forward to the conversation on the 4th, and I hope everyone can join us then. Anybody that wants to join us, you can get tickets set up through Eventbrite. Go to Eventbrite, search APA, and you'll find the links all there, and also on our Facebook pages. So it's, for now, it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me, and take care.
And Dennis, for the last word.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been lovely talking to you, and I'm looking forward to the 4th of July. I'd love to talk about, something different from blogging.
Grand.
Take
Guys,
care. See
take
you
care.
then, Dennis. Bye.